Let's start with a thought-provoking fact. In the United States, individuals in households living at or below the federal poverty level experience violent crime at more than double the rate of people in high-income households. For some, that's just a number. But for millions of Americans, it's a daily reality. Have you ever wondered how poverty might be shaping the world right outside your own front door? The connection between them is far more complex and deeply rooted than most of us imagine. It's not a story about bad people making bad choices, but one of systemic pressures and limited options. When the road to a stable life is full of barriers, the detours can lead to desperate places. Today, we're going to untangle the complicated relationship between economic hardship and crime. We'll explore the root causes that push people toward illegal activity and uncover the community-based solutions that can finally break the cycle. The problem, more than a coincidence. For decades, criminologists and sociologists have studied the link between poverty and crime, and the consensus is clear: poverty significantly increases the risk of criminal behavior. It's not a simple one-to-one equation, but it is a powerful correlation we can't afford to ignore. On average, neighborhoods with high poverty rates have crime rates that are roughly 2.5 times higher than in wealthier areas. To understand why, we first have to look at it from the perspective of basic survival. Criminologists have a concept called rational choice theory. It suggests that when legal options for meeting basic needs, like food, shelter, and healthcare, are scarce or non-existent, illegal activity can start to look like a rational, though dangerous, alternative. This isn't an excuse, it's an explanation of the immense economic pressure that many people face. When you're struggling every single day, the long-term consequences of a crime might seem abstract compared to the immediate, crushing reality of not being able to feed your family. That kind of economic desperation is a powerful motivator. But the problem goes deeper than individual choices made in moments of distress. It's woven into the very fabric of impoverished communities. These high crime rates aren't because the people living there are inherently different. It's because the environment itself has been shaped by decades of neglect and systemic disadvantage. Understanding this is the first step. The next is to ask, what are the underlying forces creating these conditions in the first place? The root causes, a system of disadvantage. To truly grasp the connection, we have to peel back the layers and look at the root causes. This isn't about a single factor, but a cascade of interconnected issues that create a pipeline from poverty to crime. The first major driver is the lack of educational and employment opportunities. A quality education is one of the most reliable bridges to a stable, well-paying job. But in many low-income areas, schools are underfunded and overcrowded, lacking the resources to prepare students for the future. Without a high school diploma or a degree, job prospects shrink dramatically. This creates a self-perpetuating cycle. A lack of education leads to unemployment or underemployment, which deepens poverty and makes the lure of illegal income streams that much stronger. In fact, some estimates suggest that over 2/3 of the incarcerated population in the US comes from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds. Before they were incarcerated, their median annual income was just over $19,000, 41% less than their non-incarcerated peers. Second, there's the concept of social disorganization. When a community is starved of resources, the social bonds that hold it together start to fray. Parks fall into disrepair, community centers close, and trust between neighbors and law enforcement erodes. This breakdown means there are fewer positive outlets for young people, fewer trusted adults to intervene, and fewer collective eyes on the street to deter crime. In these environments, crime can flourish not because people welcome it, but because the community lacks the resources to prevent it. Finally, and perhaps most critically, we have to talk about the role of the criminal justice system itself. In many ways, our system is designed to punish poverty. Take cash bail, for example. If two people are accused of the same crime, one with money can buy their freedom and return to their job and family while they await trial. The other, who can't afford bail, stays in jail, often for months. They are legally presumed innocent, yet they can lose their job, their housing, and even custody of their children. At mid-year 2023, 70% of people in local jails were being held pre-trial, meaning they hadn't been convicted of anything. This system doesn't make communities safer, it destabilizes lives and makes it exponentially harder for someone to escape poverty. The ripple effect, how entire communities suffer. The link between poverty and crime doesn't just impact individuals, it sends shockwaves through entire communities, with effects that can last for generations. When crime rates rise, it can trigger a devastating cycle of community destabilization. Businesses hesitate to invest, leading to fewer local jobs. Property values fall, making it harder for homeowners to build wealth. Families who can afford to leave often do, taking their resources with them. This creates a vacuum, further concentrating poverty and making it even harder for the community to recover. The impact on children is especially profound. Growing up in an environment with high levels of violence and poverty is a source of constant trauma. The stress and fear can have long-lasting psychological effects, impacting everything from brain development to school performance. Studies show that children who experience persistent poverty are more likely to engage in delinquent behavior. They aren't just witnessing a cycle, they are being primed to become the next generation to inherit it. On top of all this is the heavy weight of stigma. People living in high poverty, high crime neighborhoods are often unfairly stereotyped. This can lead to discrimination in housing and employment. They are seen not as residents of an under-resourced community, but as part of the problem. This social exclusion deepens their sense of hopelessness and isolation, reinforcing the very conditions that lead to crime in the first place. The solutions, how we break the cycle. After exploring the depth of the problem, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But here's the crucial part, this cycle can be broken. The solutions aren't simple, but they are clear, and they start by shifting from punishment to prevention and opportunity. First, and most importantly, we have to invest in people through education and economic support. This is the most powerful preventative tool we have. Studies have repeatedly shown that educational programs, especially those offered within prisons, significantly reduce the chances of someone reoffending after release. A landmark Rand Corporation study found that inmates who participate in education programs have 43% lower odds of returning to prison. Beyond that, every dollar invested in prison education can save $4 to $5 in future incarceration costs. This also means fully funding schools in low-income areas, expanding access to job training, and supporting poverty reduction initiatives like affordable housing and food assistance. Second, we have to focus on rebuilding communities from the ground up. This means investing in things like youth programs, community centers, and public parks to provide safe spaces and positive alternatives. Expanding access to mental health care and substance abuse treatment is also critical, as these are often underlying issues that contribute to both poverty and crime. These efforts strengthen the social fabric and empower residents to become active participants in creating a safer future for themselves. Finally, we have to reform the criminal justice system itself. It's time to move away from policies that criminalize poverty and toward approaches that actually address the root causes of crime. This includes things like eliminating cash bail for nonviolent offenses, which has already shown success in jurisdictions like Illinois and New Jersey without compromising public safety. It also means investing in diversion programs that focus on repairing harm rather than just on punishment. These reforms aren't soft on crime. They are smart on crime because they focus on what actually works to reduce recidivism and make our communities safer in the long run. This is a massive issue, and the conversation doesn't end here. The change we've talked about is driven by people who care enough to act. If this resonated with you, consider supporting local and national organizations that are on the front lines, working to expand educational opportunities, provide job training, and advocate for a more just system. Your voice and your support matter. Share this video to help others understand this unseen connection, and let us know in the comments what community-based solutions you believe hold the most promise. The link between poverty and crime isn't an indictment of individual character. It's a reflection of systemic failures that create desperation and choke off opportunity. For too long, we've tried to address crime by focusing only on its aftermath, without ever looking at its origins. But a path out of this cycle exists. It's a path built on investing in our most vulnerable communities, providing real educational and economic opportunities, and reforming our justice system to be a tool for rehabilitation, not a driver of poverty. By understanding this unseen connection, we can finally move past blame and begin the real work of building safer, more prosperous communities for everyone. The solutions are within our reach, but they require the collective will to see the problem for what it truly is.